Hello, everybody. It's Susan with Susan Monroe Art, and it is a cloudy morning here, and I've just been over to Starbucks, gotten my pumpkin spice latte. Fall is in the air, and so I decided, why not go ahead and I'm just going to paint what I'm in the mood for today, which is sort of a fall pumpkin-y theme painting. And here is a picture of a cute, I'm going to say it's a pumpkin spice drink in a cute pumpkin mug. And that's going to be the subject of my painting today. So you can see I've already put a grid on this photo. And this photo is on my Pinterest page of reference photos. So if you want to go find this photo yourself and paint this yourself, you can do it. I'll put a link for it down in the description below. I've already put a grid on my photo, and I've put the same size grid here on my watercolor paper, and I'm going to transfer the photo using points on the grid from my photo from this to my watercolor paper, just because I want it to be really precise. That's the way I like to paint. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can more free form it. It's not a difficult drawing. And if you want to know how to use a grid to transfer your drawing, I've got a whole separate video on that I'll link up at the top. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started drawing my pumpkin spice drink, and then we'll get to painting it. So, of course, if you like this painting, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Got a lot of fun tutorials that I do and lots of things that'll help your painting. Color mixing and how to set up your palette, and like I said, how to transfer a photo to your paper with the grid method, and whole thing on how to paint glass that's been pretty popular. So take a look at that, and if it looks like something that appeals to you, I hope you'll subscribe. And I hope you'll give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Here, I was taught how to do this grid method when I was in high school by my wonderful high school art teacher, Fausto Cardelli. And he's been on my mind lately. I wonder how he's doing. Hi, Mr. Cardelli. If you ever happen to watch one of my videos, you changed my life. Okay, I have lightly sketched in my little pumpkin mug, and now I'm going to go in and I'm going to erase these grid lines and probably darken my painting lines a little bit and get started with my painting. Now I'm going to go stretch this paper by wetting it in my tub and stapling it on my gator board. I've got a whole other video on how to stretch your watercolor paper. I do that with almost all of my watercolor paintings because I like to remove a lot of the sizing that is on this paper, and I think that the watercolors adhere better to the paper once it's stretched, and also my paper won't come out all wrinkly and wavy. I've got a separate video on how to do that I'll link up at the top here if you want to do that. It doesn't take very long. And so I'm going to get going doing that, and then I'll be right back and be ready to start painting. All right, I've stretched my watercolor paper, I've stapled it down, and it's dried. And now I'm going to use my ruling pen to put some masking fluid on these white places. I've got this ruling pen as part of this antique drafting set that a friend gave me, sold to me very, very cheaply, really practically gave it to me, and I love it. And to use it to put on my masking fluid, I just see it's got this little point here. I can unscrew it and make the tip wider or narrower depending on how wide I want my line of masking fluid. I'm going to need a paper towel also just to wipe off the excess. Super easy to use, and it makes a really great thin line. My masking fluid. I just dip it in, wipe it off. And I want to do a test line first. There we go. Okay, I'm through putting on the masking fluid. Now I'm going to clean out my ruling pen just by opening it up really wide by loosening this little screw. I can unscrew it entirely if I want to, but I'm going to just make it really loose. And then my finger's small enough, I can just run my finger on the inside and remove the buildup of this masking fluid. If your finger's not that small, you probably need to remove the screw entirely. So you can get a paper towel or something in there. And it's ready to go again. So unfortunately, my microphone messed up during this part of my recording. So this is virtual Susan coming in after the fact to describe what I'm doing here. And I'm just going to go ahead and lay in the first wash of color, starting with the very lightest shades. And up in the top, and the foam on the top of my pumpkin spice latte, it looks sort of like glowy raw umber, burnt umber color. So I'm going to use a little burnt umber, a little Windsor yellow, and make very pale shadows up in the top there. And I'm just using my photos sort of as a roadmap to show me where to put each color that I want. So the next area that I'm going to is the handle. The handle looks like, to me, it's a combination of, again, that burnt sienna, and I'll add some raw umber and a little bit of that Windsor yellow to once again brighten it up, give it more of a glowing effect. And then I'm going to paint it very lightly just so I can reserve the lightest colors, and then I'll come back in and darken it. Because you have to remember, in watercolors, it's not like oils or acrylics where you start with your darks and then you can paint your lights over them. You have to reserve your lights and then you go darker and darker, not painting over your whites. You have to make sure you save those. It's sort of the reverse of painting with oils. To me, it's intuitive because I've been doing watercolors for so long, but switching back and forth between the two, it can be challenging. Okay, and now on to the orange body of the cup. I have a ready-made orange paint that I could use, but I like to add my own colors to mix up my own orange as well. And to do that, I'm going to use, again, this Windsor yellow and a little Scarlet Lake and see what that comes up with. In the end, that does end up being a little too red, so I add a little of the pre-made orange to it. But I think when you add different colors, the yellow and the red to make the orange, your colors are just more rich. And with watercolor, the way the particles of color sort of diffuse in the water and the painting will just give you some beautiful variations as you're working on it. So, yep, I like that orange. Now I'm really going to dilute it with a lot of water and make it very light and just make a very smooth wash across the whole body of the cup. keeping my paper wet, I'm going to start having a gradual transition to dark. So the wet on my paper here is going to help this, just make a nice soft transition into dark, because the paint will diffuse into that water. Right. Now for this place where it's sitting, got this fun reflection down there. I'm going to get my ruler. Actually, I'm going to get my square, because I want to make sure that the edge isn't tilting up or down, edge of my table. And let's draw a line for that. And my reflection of my pumpkin mug is right here. Okay. I'm going to get a bigger brush. And I'm going to mix up a really dark color. I think I'm going to mix it up using, again, the blue and my burnt sienna. And I'm going to add some orange in it. Really just the main colors that can make a really, really dark. I'm going to wet this whole area because this is a very blurry sort of shadow. And then I'm going to come in with my darks and my orange. Now that this is dried, you can see it's got some swirly, really cool sort of effects in the surface. I like that, and that comes from the ultramarine blue, which is a granulating color. You can see it's sort of granulated pigment in it. If you don't like that look, though, you can always use cobalt blue instead, which is not as pigmented. And I think when I come back in a second layer, I'm going to change this a little bit. But for now, I'm going to focus back on my mug. I really want to get some of these darks in here. Oh, but before I do that, there's some light reflections there. I'm going to use my ruling pen, and I'm going to mask off some of these areas to keep them a lighter orange. You can mask over top of your paint. It will lighten it a little bit, but you can always come back and adjust it when you're done. When you use your ruling pen, I forgot to mention this before, but this point is sharp, super sharp. It's almost like a pair of scissors. So you need to be careful that you're not pressing down on your paper while you're using it, because it'll score the paper or scratch it up. I realized I was doing that just a little bit as I was doing this line along here. So make sure that your ruling pen is full of masking fluid, and then you're just sort of floating it along the top of the paper, because if you're pressing down, it's going to score the paper and leave impressions, and that's probably not what you're going for. Well, I was going to paint the mug some more, but now I need to let that dry, so I'm going to go back in to the flora. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I'm very indecisive. I'm going to paint this up here, this background. And to do that, I think I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to go with my first layer, and I'm going to try and make what's called a bokeh effect with these soft lights. A bokeh effect is when you have just sort of out of focus lights in the background of your piece. I've never done it before, but I have watched on YouTube videos how to do it. So I'm not going to be really trying to teach that right now. I'm learning it myself, but once I learn it, I'll try and do a video on it. Well, that was a little bit of a disaster. I hadn't mixed up enough paint. I ended up rushing. I did a lot of things wrong there, and so I've got a lot of bloom effects. I've got a lot of unevenness in my wash, but it is what it is. That's fine. I can fix it in my next wash over that. I've also lifted areas of color to try and make that bokeh effect I mentioned about sort of out of focus uh, lights in the background. We'll see how that goes, but I like how it started. All right, I'm just going to continue working on this. I think you see where I'm going, and let's see what happens. Right, I like how this dark has worked out now. I've evened it out. I used another layer. Sometimes it just takes more than one layer to really get the effect you're going for. I'm going to let that dry. And really this time I am going to start working on the mug. Now it is time for the part that I really sort of hate. So I'm going to take off the masking fluid. I've made sure the painting's really dry. And when you take the masking fluid off, you've gotten used to looking at the painting like this. I'm going to take this masking fluid off, and it's going to look like just huge white marks on my painting that then we'll have to adjust. So I'm preparing myself. Well, that doesn't look too bad up there. But yeah. Be able to see like this line is wrong. Oh wow, I'm gonna have to do a little work on these reflections. But when I'm done, they are really going to make this mug look very shiny and nice. one of the things I use when I adjust my reflections and where I've lifted the masking fluid off is this little oil paintbrush that I have. It's harder bristles and can remove paint easily, also blend paint. It's sort of like my little secret weapon here. I'm just going to go in and soften this, soften the edges. I don't want to lose the white, but you can see it blends into the painting more. Well, I think I'm done. This is about as good as this can get without me overpainting it. And I'm just going to remove the tape because that always is a great moment. Voila. Now I just need to sign it. And here is my surprise at the end of the video. One of you can win this painting. One of you can win it. I will draw a name at random on September 30th. That's 2 weeks from now, 2023. It has to be this year. And all you have to do is, number one, like this video. Number two, subscribe to my channel. Number three more things, share this video with 3 friends that you think would like it. So like, subscribe, share to 3 people. I will randomly draw a name anywhere in the world and I will mail you this pumpkin spice artwork that you can enjoy for the fall season. So thank you for watching. I hope everybody will like and subscribe to my channel for more tips and tricks and more painting. Take care and bye-bye for now.